What's going on, guys? Asian Guy here, bringing you an episode of Should You Pull, Should You Not Pull. Now, for those of you who have been here for a long time, you already know what I'm going to be talking about in this video. For those of you that are new, I will be discussing and advising whether or not you should be pulling on the upcoming SUGOFEST, whether that is on the Japan or the global server of One Piece Treasure Cruise. And today we have got the GERMA 66 batch that is coming to global. Now, this SUGOFEST is going to be all gold. It's going to be much better than the release Sugo that they had on the Japan server. Hashtag GlobeBest. Seriously, global is going in hard. They are one-upping Japan on almost everything bar invasions, although I believe they're starting to ease in invasions. Hopefully, they will have permanent invasions for all invasion units soon enough. But that's going on a tangent. GERMA 66 batch. Sorry, guys, if I'm rushing this, it's because I shouldn't be rushing this, but it's because this is like my fourth take. I keep stuttering. Obviously, I've just come back from Japan. If you didn't realize, I have been on a Japan trip. Check my channel out. Go to the videos. If you missed yesterday's SUGOFEST video, I did 430 gems worth of pulls. You're definitely going to enjoy that video if you haven't seen it yet. But this video, we're talking about the GERMA 66 batch. Now, as you guys can see, my team is not fully limit broken. I do not have max sockets on this team. And you're probably seeing in which direction I'm heading with my advice. Now, for me, I don't believe it's worth pulling on this SUGOFEST, even if it's all gold. And the reason why is because the GERMA 66 batch is specifically designed to counter certain pieces of content, which is, you know, you can say that for almost every team. And with the GERMA 66, however, the thing with them is that they are mostly very, very inflexible units. Now, for me personally, and I believe for other content creators and a lot of people who watch tier list videos or have tier lists or tier legends and how strong each legend is, you should always be comparing them at their max potential. And that's not saying limit break potential, I'm just saying at their max potential, where they have the complete team, where they have all of the things necessary to make them excel. And I agree with that. I think when you compare legends, you should always be looking at the final product. But having said that, it's also important to take note when you're deciding whether or not to pull, not necessarily for tier list, but whether you're deciding or not to pull, how likely you're able to reach that max potential. Now, for most players, it's going to be pretty much impossible. Even me, who whales almost every SUGOFEST, I would say I'm like a killer whale on the Japan server. I'm not there at the proper whale status on the Japan server yet, although I do have a lot of gems invested into this game. I do not have this GERMA 66 batch fully limit broken. I do not have them fully socketed, as you guys can see here. And the reason is because I think the full team is at this point somewhat overrated. Now, that was quite hard for me to say because I do think they are a fantastic team, but a lot of people like to herald them as the greatest team, as the best team in the game, and I just have to disagree with that at this point. I think a lot of content now is not very friendly towards this GERMA 66 team. There was a period where the powerhouse, this GERMA 66 powerhouse team, was super good. It would smash everything. It still smashes most things, but you know, that little red hexagon or pentagon, whichever one it is, 5 sides, 6 sides, does screw this team over a lot because of the conditional boost. Now, let's go through them one by one. If you haven't seen Toadski's video, by the way, guys, he covers them much better than I will do in this video. But I would say out of the batch, Reiju and Ichiji are the only two good rare recruits. And of course, Judge is fantastic if you have the full batch. Reiju is good on so many different teams. She's just a great powerhouse utility unit. She's great on Hody 6+ teams, and of course Judge teams as well. She is just a fantastic unit, very good for utility, and is the main reason why Judge is still viable. Yonji, in my opinion, is by far the worst unit of the batch. His captain ability sucks, you know. Let's just say the rare recruits captain abilities are not that useful, so don't worry about them too much. He is a conditional booster. He's a conditional booster, which is something I am not a fan of. You first need to have a captain that is either Dex or Psi, and after you've achieved that, he will he will boost attack against delayed enemies by 1.75, and this is meant to pair up with, I believe, Ichiji. And of course, if you have a powerhouse captain, aka Judge, he will also do the times 40 his attack in extra damage, just like Raid Sabo or Legend Inu Arashi. Now, when you take that into a bigger context, a bigger picture, it's actually a really bad special. Outside of judge teams. Inside judge teams, it's still decent, but if you can't delay the enemy, that first half is useless. Times 40 attack in typeless damage as extra additional tap damage. It's really not that much. It's a really small amount, like 400 to 600k damage. I don't know the exact mathematics behind it. I'm stuttering again. This is like my 5th take now, but it's not that great. And sadly, this is the one I have like 20 million copies of, and I can rainbow him, but I'm probably never going to use him because in my opinion, he's just not very good. Moving that aside, we have also got Niji. Now Niji is, in theory, has one of the best specials in the game. For 2 turns, he will boost the entire crew's attack, regardless of type or class, by 1.75, but it's conditional because you need to have a quick or a side captain, and that kind of makes him inflexible outside of a GERMA 66 team, and that's understandable because he is, of course, GERMA 66. Aside from that, for powerhouse captains, he will lock orbs for 1 turn. Now, I also think that this is not that great. You have better powerhouse boosters. Class boosters are typically better to have. Type boosters are typically better to have. And this is really just designed for the GERMA 66 batch. And locked orbs, honestly, not that useful this much in this current meta on Japan. Maybe on global it will be useful for a while. For example, Invasion GUP, I can see that being useful. Having said that, Judge, Legend Judge, he shuffles away all orbs, regardless of whether or not they're matching or not. So it's kind of counterproductive if we think about it, and that's also one of the big drawbacks of Judge. He is a little bit, it's maybe underselling it. He is RNG dependent, just like Akainu, or Akainu, however you pronounce it. We also have got Ichiji. Now, Ichiji is arguably, along with Reiju, the best of the batch. For 2 turns, he will lock your chain by 2.5 times if your captain is strength or size, so he's very good for Lucy teams as well. And if you have a powerhouse captain, he will further delay them for 2 turns. Now, both of those aspects of that special are fantastic. Obviously, there aren't many strength powerhouse units other than Akainu as a good captain, but of course, Akainu is a fantastic unit. You want to have Ichiji if you rock Akainu as your main lead. But outside of that, again, somewhat lacking. You know, it's not a unit you're going to be using too often. There's pieces of content where you do want to have him. For example, off the top of my head, Kai and Nell specifically, you would want to have him. Kai Diamante, which is something we have now, you also want to have him. But you can also bypass it with someone else. Another unit. He is not the end-all of powerhouse, strength, chain locking, delay, whatever I'm trying to say. You guys understand what I'm saying. He's also not that amazing. Like, people like to visualize all these units individually as quite good. I would say they're quite average, made into very powerful units, courtesy of Judge. Now, Judge, of course, if you have the full batch, amazing, amazing, amazing. You're basically almost always going to be rocking a 4 times attack multiplier, which is disgusting. Minus 15% damage, minus 15% damage reduction, which is obviously 2 15% damage reductions if you have them both, and a HP boost. A HP boost. So really good captain. He gets rid of bind for 7 turns, and of course will shuffle away block orbs and increase the rate of psi orbs appearing when he uses his special with a 2 times orb boost. Having said that, he, as I mentioned earlier, shuffles away matching orbs as well, so he's somewhat RNG reliant. Now, IMAX limit broke my Judge instantly, and I kind of regretted it because I rarely use the GERMA 66 team. And you might be thinking, well, you have better teams, and yes, I do have better teams, and yes, I am a whale, but just think of it like this. If you're a whale, you most likely have a better team than the GERMA 66 already, and even if you're a whale, you're not going to be able to max this team until like the Luffy X Ace batch arrives to global. The skill books have just finished, literally the last fortnight just finished the GERMA 66 skill books on the Japan server, and in that time from Judge we've had like what, 5, 6, 7 legends off the top of my head. V2 Shanks, V2 Rayleigh, V2 Dofi, Luffy X Ace, Fujitora V2, Frankie, Robin, that's 7, maybe more. So you're gonna be waiting 7 legends worth of content before you can max your team. For the average player, for the below average player, for the slightly above average player, in fact for most whales, you're still going to be waiting 7 legends worth of content before you can actually utilize this team properly. And in my opinion, that is not worth it. It is not worth it because this SUGOFEST, even if you have the GERMA 66 rated up, future SUGOFEST, there's going to be 7 more legends. At least 7 more legends, and within that time, by the time you've hit maybe the 3rd or 4th additional legend past Judge, these GERMA 66 units are going to be super rated up. The Luffy X Ace SUGOFEST Yonji, I pulled that piece of crap around 20 plus times. It was disgusting. His rate is through the roof. The GERMA 66 batch, all of these individual units will be so rated up by the time, for example, Dofi V2 is out. On this SUGOFEST, yes, they are rated up, but they'll be even higher rated up in future SUGOFEST. And for me, that is the reason why it's definitely not worth pulling on this SUGOFEST. You won't be able to utilize this team because it will be lacking in sockets, it's going to be lacking in skill books and skill ups. Unless you're a Giga Whale, there's really no reason to pull on this SUGOFEST. Wait for something bigger, wait for something better. Dofi V2, hint hint. The Cerebral batch that came with Legend Robin, in my opinion, is by far the best batch we've had in a long time. And incidentally, on that SUGOFEST, the GERMA 66 units were rated up. So overall, guys, the answer is no. Do not pull on this SUGOFEST, especially if you're not a Giga Whale. If you're a Giga Whale, then by all means, Justin Higaki is out there. Go and do your 20 multis, shots fired, pew pew pew. But yeah, in my opinion, it's just not worth it. It's a fun team to play, honestly. When I do play with this team, even without the sockets, for maybe a bit of easier content, it basically crushes everything. You have like a 4x multiplier, you're super tanky, your perfects are super easy to hit with the Zunisha ship, but it's still just a little bit lacking. I would say it's beginning to already fall behind on the Japan meta, although Judge has recently been utilized for Kai Diamante, but he's not the only solution. There are plenty of other powerhouse captains you could be using, or driven captains you could be using for Kai Diamante. He is not the end all be all of legend captains, and he's just there. And I think somewhat he is beginning to become overrated. He's heralded with the GERMA 66 as this invincible team, and realistically speaking, from my experience and other experiences of whales that I have on my friends list or that I've spoken to, Judge has slightly died off. Honestly speaking, he's slightly died off. The hype is dead on Japan already, I would say, for most players. But of course, having the full team fully maxed, fully rainbowed is super fun. It's super fun to have. You can go in blind in almost any content and probably win. Most of the time maybe, but the way Japan has gone with the Japanese meta, which will be coming to global, is that they're designing content to be specifically cleared by the latest batch. So for example, the latest treasure map mode, Shanks was the best, Shanks V2 was the best. Luffy X Ace is pretty good for all the Colosseums that have recently come out. Kai Colosseum Diamante is great for that as well. And then you see like Judge falling behind on all the other pieces of content, for example, design for V2 Rayleigh, Legend Robin, etc, etc. But do not exaggerate my words, guys. I do think his team is still up there as one of the best. I would say he's still a top 5 legend captain. Legend captain, not a top 5 legend, but a top 5 legend captain. But I don't think it's worth pulling on this SUGOFEST, especially if you're spending money on the game, especially if you're free to play. Just for everyone, it's not worth it. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. I babbled on a lot extra than I had to. I do apologize about that, guys, but I just had to get that out there because I see a lot of people very excited for the SUGOFEST, and I felt the need to kill that hype because I really think that the hype overrates him and does him more justice than it's necessary. He's a great unit, one of the best, but not worth it. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to end it there. Thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful day. Also, let me know about the background. Do you like it? Do you not like it? I do plan to fill out that side of the screen. Not exactly sure what I'm doing here. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.